What's up, my friends, and welcome back to another fantastic issue of Hops Geek News. We are a podcast that discusses comic books, movies, TV shows, and all the while we are drinking a beer of the week. This week we are going to be discussing the wonderful world of the mouse, aka Disney, and both parks, Disney World, Disneyland. I'm setting up to go to Disneyland while this episode is actually airing. I will be there. So we figured we'll talk a little bit about the parks. Lauren is a learned, seasoned doctor, veteran of the parks because she's literally there every single day. She has residency like she's Cher out there in Las Vegas, set up out there at Disney. So first things first, if you don't know how to find us, search Hops News on all your favorite podcasting platforms. Go ahead, Hops Geek News on all of your social media sites, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We are there. We are everywhere. Go ahead, go to patreon.com/hopsgeeknews to support the show if you so feel inclined. Each month, we are going to be doing some new things. So such as we will be talking about our favorite movies of 2022 for Patreons only. And then we are also going to start doing an MCU rewatch where we are going to give some commentary while watching the MCU in order again. So go ahead, subscribe there. It's going to be available for all tiers. That said, I am drinking this week from Western Collective out of Boise, Idaho. It's called It Takes Two to Mango from their Fruited Sour series. It has mango, peach, passion fruit, vanilla, and lactose. It's pretty strong. That's what it is. It's 7%, but the taste, man, you get all of that fruit and more up in there. And I figured it was a nice crisp beer because that's kind of the beer that you want while walking around Disney. Why not? So also stay tuned because I'm going to be building a lightsaber. So check our social medias as you see me become a child again, building a lightsaber. Lauren's already done hers, so now it's my turn. I finally get to do something fun. All that said, Lauren, what's up?
Not much. Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing how your lightsaber experience goes, because then we can kind of compare and contrast and see if they're identical, which I'm guessing they probably are, or if there is a little bit of West Coast versus East Coast differentials. And, when we go through the Disney fun facts, I will do a bit more focus on the geek stuff, the Marvel stuff, the Star Wars stuff. But spoilers for Galaxy's Edge, it does seem like East and West are very, very similar.
As far as Galaxy's Edge goes, it seems, all the pictures I've seen, I'm like, let's play the game. Is it Orlando or is it Anaheim? Who can tell?
Right. That would be a fun game. You should take random pictures and we can post them and compare.
We can look, it's perfect. We can Photoshop each other like next to with our lightsabers. We can take a pose and then from different angles and just Photoshop ourselves in front of the Millennium Falcon. And then nobody will ever know except for anybody who listened to this show.
I haven't gotten good pictures yet because it is mandatory that once you build a lightsaber, you have to take a picture in front of the Millennium Falcon.
We don't make the rules.
Which I did do, but I did it the morning we were going to Nashville, so it wasn't nighttime. And then I've only been to Hollywood Studios once since, and it was for my daughter's birthday, so I had to do what she wanted to do.
Are you feeling okay?
And I also didn't have a stroller, so I would have to carry the lightsaber around. And like my girlfriend I was with, we went for her birthday. It was just Erica and I and the two girls who are both 10. And she saw somebody with a lightsaber bag because they put it in a very nice bag.
I was going to say, don't they put it in a bag that you can carry?
Yeah. And you can carry it like you can put it, diagonal on you or just carry it on your shoulder. And it's got some cushion in it, but like I haven't even done any videos or spinning with it because I'm just so scared.
Oh, me too. I'm going to treat that like it's an infant. Like screw my own kids getting back. I got to protect the goods at all cost.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I'm sure they're used to that at the airport. So I have to go back. But yeah, my girlfriend though, she's like, so did you get one of those special bags for your lightsaber? I'm like, I did, as a matter of fact.
I'll have you know, it's Versace.
It also stinks because it's summer right now. So it's just, at 8:30, there's still sun. Like we're recording right now, it's 8 o'clock and there's still sun outside. So come fall or winter, I'll get some good pictures at Hollywood
That's a good point.
Studios.
Maybe I'll bring it to the fireworks because the kids, they found fireworks, like Disney on Disney Plus has a fireworks Paris at their Disneyland Paris that you can watch. It's like a 15-minute presentation. Yeah. And so they got really excited about, I want to do this. I want to see this. So we might go catch the fireworks. So maybe I'll bring my lightsaber for some cool things. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, you never know when you're going to get a good photo op, but yeah, I'd be carrying it around everywhere.
Oh yeah.
There was something that they did where they actually live streamed the Epcot fireworks because they have a somewhat new show at Epcot, and they had live streamed it one day, but I think you could only watch it live. I don't know. But my beer. So the beer I'm drinking, I've actually drank this on here before. Busy as a Daggy. It's from Tripping Animals. It's a sour ale with blackcurrant, blueberry, and mangoes. It's a collab with their amigos from Deciduous Brewing Company. It's tart, but not overly tart. But I picked it because, and I will post it on the Instagram, it looks, a lot of their Tripping Animals can art, it looks like Disney characters that are high.
I just drank that a couple episodes ago, though. That's funny.
Yeah, I think we both drink it together, and I have it in my Figment glass, which is actually says Lauren on it as well. Oh, I'm showing you the wrong side. That's the side that says Lauren. The other side has Figment.
That's crazy.
And yeah, what was I going to say? I forgot.
Well,
all right, go on.
What we haven't done our what are we reading or watching, because last week we had Task on and we went in some She-Hulk, man. We really dove into She-Hulk. So what is it that you've kind of been reading or watching as of late?
Not too much. I did watch She-Hulk this morning.
Hey.
But one of the things I started, and I had briefly mentioned this last week, but didn't really talk about it, is whenever I say I've never watched Smallville, people are usually like very surprised.
I never did either.
Because I at least started almost all of the CW superhero shows, and Smallville started it. So a few of my friends were talking about a Talkville podcast, which is Superman and Lex, or Tom Welling and the
Michael
guy who
Rosenbaum.
that does the Inside of You pod. And so they're rewatching the show together, and they're doing it episode by episode. So I'm trying to keep on pace. I think I'm 7 episodes in. And so I watch the episode, then I listen to their podcast. And the first episode is really good. Most of them are still a bit cheesy. I'm hoping it kind of gets better. I mean, it is CW and it was 2001. However, it's funny.
I've seen some of those outfits.
Oh, I mean, those outfits, though, I mean, that's 2001's the year I graduated from high school. So I'm fine with that. But you just made a face like I'm super old.
Woof.
So the guest stars, though, a lot of them come up and you're like, oh, they look familiar. Like the girl from Mean Girls is one of them. There was the guy that was in like Varsity Blues. And like what was funny is the last one I watched, Amy Adams is the guest star. And I'm like, hey, that's Lois Lane. So I thought that was funny.
Huh. Yeah, I never really watched it, I'll be honest with you. I remember when it was big and everything like that when I was younger. I've seen bits and pieces. Like I've seen the Green Arrow, which funny enough, that guy, he was in This Is Us and some other things. And he played Aquaman, I think, in like they tried to reboot an Aquaman show or movie, and he actually played Aquaman. And then there's a lot of big names in there. Funny enough, the one girl who played, I think, Chloe, yeah, she got arrested for being in charge of a sex cult. So
what?
Yeah, this happened years ago. Yeah, she's in jail, or she was at one point in prison because she was helping out with some sex cult and stuff. So
wow,
she's
and she's like streets. The holier than thou character in the show.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, that's crazy, huh? Well, there you go.
Did you watch anything else? Is that just about it?
Really just that and She-Hulk. And
really?
I have been catching up on some Wolverine comics. And I posted a clip on our Instagram today, or a page. Deadpool's been in the last few. And so that always makes for, extra entertainment when it's Deadpool.
Talk
and
about She-Hulk a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, right. By now, it was, let's go for it.
3, 2, 1. Captain America fucks. He was getting down on them USO tours. Man, Cap
you knew he was.
Of course. Captain America, come on. You knew he was out there slaying.
Yeah, shit was getting thrown at him, I'm sure. We saw the girl from Game of Thrones throw herself at him.
Yeah, I bet it was her, too. I bet you it was her, too. Or it could have been the girl that was playing.
I think it was before that.
Ah.
Because by the time she threw herself at him, he was back with Peggy trying to do for real stuff. So it was during the USO tour.
Do you think those conversations ever came up with Peggy? He's like, I swear you're my first one. And then come to find out he was out there hitting up girls on the USO tour.
He wasn't her first, so I find it irrelevant.
He's punching Hitler and never mind. But aside from that, though, I was actually pleasantly surprised that they jumped right into things here. It kind of opens up with Jennifer talking, giving exposition, a closing statement, and the guy was being misogynistic right away too, which is kind of, I feel like, a meta commentary to all the dudes that are like, oh, She-Hulk, oh, MCU, oh, this or that. So it kind of felt like they were talking to the audience there when he was like, you should just let me take it. And then they jump right into the whole car crash lasted 2 seconds. You see the ship come down, they crash, she turns into the Hulk, and then she goes into the bar, and her friends do a really cool thing where they all help her get dressed up.
Those weren't her friends.
Or
I will tell you, no one is nicer than drunk girls in the bathroom. If they are the nicest people in the world. If everybody acted like drunk girls in a public bathroom, this world would be such an amazingly nice place.
Well, it was nice because that happens, and then after that, she leaves, and the guys start to catcall her, which then she turns into Hulk. Hulk's out, wakes up, and a little nice nod was when she was trying to figure out where she was at that morning. You see an Iron Man helmet that she kind of looks at, and this leads us into Bruce Banner. It was really cool. Bruce kind of talks about his relationship with Tony and how he misses Tony and things like that. I thought that was beautiful because aside from Peter Parker, you don't really get anybody mentioning Tony's death or anything like that.
Right.
Everybody's kind of dealing with their own things in their own way. Peter, that was like a father figure. And really for Bruce, that was somebody he could connect with on a deep, smarts level where they just talk science, and they've been through everything.
I would say it was his closest friend.
For sure. Ever since Avengers 1, when they kind of got together and would talk science and work on things, to Ultron, to just everything. And so it was kind of crazy. And then we get another really cool thing where she doesn't have that inner voice, and he has the whole syllabus, and he's like, well, I guess we can throw that out. And she's like, dude, you don't get it. Like, as a woman, I have to deal with this stuff all the time. She knows how to control it already, which it's sad, but it makes a lot of sense.
It's just reality. Well, especially if she's a lawyer and in law school and everything, she's had to extra learn how to deal with that.
Well, so, you're something of a lawyer yourself. Is that something that you would see all the time when you were practicing as well?
There are areas that are definitely boys' clubs. Sometimes it depends on the area of law you end up in. It's also hard too, because a lot of the older attorneys, and this is changing because statistically, I haven't looked at it in a while, but statistically more women are going to law school than men these days.
Oh, wow.
So that's going to sort of even out. Although, again, statistically, and this includes myself, women are more likely to get mommy tracked, so they're less likely to become partners and higher ups. So you have more of the older attorneys are still men. Like my
Makes
father-in-law,
sense.
He went to law school in the 70s, and he talked like there was 2 girls in his law school class, and mine there was like 51 or 52% female and the rest dudes. So you have that, and it's always like that with a boys club. And I mean, I could go down a rabbit hole in this, because sometimes the women work against the other women too. Like if there's a woman who, let's say she's attractive and, she's trying to make partner. Well, if the guy who's may or may not hire her or make her get a raise has a jealous significant other, that causes issues as well. So you could go into a whole sociological thing or whatever, but I do think it's getting better 100%. And
right.
I mean, just based on just the numbers alone.
Well,
but I mean, you have to prove yourself extra hard. So, you want an attorney, then that's really good. Maybe you should pick a woman because she had to try harder.
That's a good point. What were some of your favorite things from this episode? Like what stood out to you the most?
Definitely the Easter eggs. I very much so like the stuff with Iron Man. I like that you saw the thing on his hand, which was at the end of Shang-Chi.
It heals his hand.
So, we all made comments about, why does he look like him and not Smart Hulk and whatnot? And it was nice to see her make fun of him. But I mean, they flat out told us it's going to be a comedy. It's going to be a sitcom. I like that she breaks the fourth wall. She does that in the comics.
Yes.
And yeah, I just thought it was fun. I mean, not much happened. I know there were some people saying things like, well, I don't see her struggling with anything yet. I think that's going to come. Just because she seems easygoing on the surface and seems like she has her shit together on the surface doesn't necessarily mean she does.
Well, it's also at the same time, like she learned how to control her anger and stuff. So of course she's having an easier time than Bruce Banner was. And I think a lot of it too is it was like Bruce was pushing so hard for her to stay. my thought process behind that was kind of Bruce. He was alone. If we're using the Incredible Hulk and stuff as canon, which it should be, it was he was alone.
It is.
You know, he didn't ever have relationships, and then it comes to the Avengers. He now all of a sudden has a relationship with people who are like him, who accept him, and he's a hero to people. And he has that life all the way from Avengers up until where he's currently at. And now after Endgame, everybody disperses or his best friend died. So he's kind of struggling having those relationships that he's used to. And now his cousin, somebody he could relate to, she's a Hulk just like him. So I think a lot of it was subconsciously he was wanting to have that person around more than worried about, hey, you're this, you're that. So, but they did a lot of good heaviness in comparison to the
unintended heavy lifting.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of, heaviness to the episode in addition to the comedic factors, but I thought it was a really good opening episode, really strong. They got straight to the point. This might be on track. Like this might be a very, very good series. This might be the best series. I don't know yet because we've gotten one episode, but
right. It's still too early to tell. But with all of these Disney Plus episodes, they've all been very different.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Starting from WandaVision straight out the gate, it's just like I remember the first episode, me looking at my daughter and be like, oh, we're watching something from the MCU right now. Like it may not seem like it. Of course, that was extreme. But yeah, I mean, when he made the comment about 15 years ago, which was his first movie, I was like, holy crap. Like the first Hulk movie was 15 years ago. It was like 14 years ago, almost 15 years ago. But also you have the blip. So for them, they're more into the future.
Yeah.
But it's so nuts to see how far we've come. And there have been so many things like they've slept on with the Hulk movie and they haven't addressed. It's like, maybe we will find out where the hell Betty has been.
So they briefly touch on Sakaar and stuff. I think we're setting up for World War Hulk. Without a doubt. We've now got a couple Hulks. He briefly mentions, as a Hulk, there's some stuff on Sakaar. You just got to deal with it. So I think this is setting up for...
He's got a kid on Sakaar?
Yeah, I think we're getting set up to showcase Bruce and the Hulk family later on down the road in the MCU, for sure.
I wonder if they'll ever go like Crazy Hulk, like the gamma radiation, like an Old Man Logan, the gamma radiation, like... poisons him and like eventually makes him like insane, and they're like the bully bad guys.
That would be, I wonder, once they bring mutants and things into the fold, like way down the road, maybe it's
like 2060 and like we get like the wastelands and we get Old
Mark
Man
Ruffalo
and everybody
can only play this for so long. He's getting older.
They'll just CGI him by that point. They won't even actually need any of the actors anymore. It'll all be CGI.
I mean, he's CGI as it is right now, so it's not like he has to do a lot, but it is cool.
Even with Vader, they didn't even have James Earl Jones come in. They're just like, oh, it's okay. We got enough. We're good.
Yeah, we're going to get to that weird point eventually where it's like, you know what? Stay home. We'll pay you for your voice. But don't record anything because we still have your voice. You're good.
Yeah. You've said enough words. All right, but I'm looking forward to it. I hope people do like it. And nobody has to. Everybody can like what they want. I always tell my kids, everybody's different, and that's what makes the world a great place. If everybody was the same, it'd be real boring. And that's the same with all the MCU projects. All of them are becoming, they all used to be somewhat similar.
There's something out there in the MCU for everybody to find to like. If you don't like something, it's fine. Yeah, it's like beer, or anything. Anything that we consume as human beings, you're not all going to like it. If that was the case, you're right. Life would be boring. It would be, what would be the point of all this? Because we all going to take something different away from everything that we see and read and watch and eat. So I'm with you 100%. And speaking of, I've watched some other stuff though. Hold on. I've watched a lot.
You've watched other stuff.
This guy has been busy watching some shit. All right. So I'm halfway through Sandman. Fantastic show. Fantastic.
Shout out Neil Gaiman.
Yes. Shout out to Sean from the Caption Life podcast. He actually sent me the first trade of Sandman to check out because I tweeted one day. I was like, I'm watching Sandman. I don't know anything about the original material. He was like, I got you. I have an extra copy. So he hooked me up there. Amazing show. Like it's very, very well done. I'm excited to dive in. The writing is amazing. The story is really, really good so far. And so I need to finish it. I just haven't had time yet.
What's
And
that on
then
again?
It's on Netflix. So that one's on
Okay.
Netflix. I've watched the first episode of Paper Girls, which if you read the first trade of Paper Girls, it follows it up until that point. Some slight changes, but overall, that was also really strong. That's on Amazon Prime. That was a really strong opening. I haven't watched any more yet. I did buy the second trade of Paper Girls to dive in, but there's just been so much to watch. So I'm trying to balance everything. And then I saw
And you
Bullet
still
Train.
have to watch Supernatural too.
Oh, I do owe you an episode of Supernatural for coming to FanX Comic-Con. So I do owe you that.
Wait till I'm there. You never know these days.
That's true. That's true.
Because I still owe you for my basketball winnings too.
That's all. See, look at that. We're indebted to one another.
There you go.
I watched Bullet Train. Probably it's my number 4 movie of the year. Spoiler alert, but that movie is so freaking good. If you are a fan of Guy Ritchie films, it's not directed by Guy Ritchie, but this is as Guy Ritchie as it gets. Like this is very Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, Snatch, which it's just so good.
Oh gosh, that was like Josh's favorite movie in high school.
Well, he would love Bullet Train then. It's so goofy and outrageous, and I had such a great time in this movie. I was laughing the whole time. It was so good. So watch that. And then I watched Day Shift last night, which is on Netflix as well. And that is Jamie Foxx. It's a B version vampire movie where he is estranged from his family. Snoop Dogg is in it. He has to, he's trying to get $10,000. So his soon to be ex-wife doesn't leave with his daughter to Florida. And of course, things go down. He hunts vampires and it kind of goes from there. Dave Franco's in it. And it was entertaining for what it was. It's obviously not going to sit there and make any sort of Oscar list. And it's not going to make my top 10 list.
Snoop Dogg's in it. That's
Snoop Dogg. Yeah, Snoop Dogg was great. He's decked out in cowboy gear. So Snoop was great. Jamie was great. It's just a B-rated. Like if you're looking for something to shut your brain off and watch Jamie Foxx kill vampires, then this is the movie for you. It wasn't bad. I enjoyed it. So that's kind of all I've been reading or watching, I should say. I haven't read anything yet. I'm saving it for my plane ride this weekend. And so, yeah, what do you say we jump into some news?
Do it.
So we didn't do news last week, so we got kind of some things to catch up on. First things first, Prey is the most watched premiere on Hulu of all time. Which reminds me, I've also caught up on Only Murders in the Building. I believe the finale is next week.
Yes.
That's the best show on television right now, hands down. In my mind.
It is a lot of fun.
That is the best show on TV.
It's such a whodunit.
Exactly. It's a classic whodunit. And then the way they interweave these stories to circle back around, or it's so like,
easy to follow.
Yeah. And you think you know who did it, and then they introduce something else, and you're just like, what?
I could just watch Martin Short and Steve Martin go back and forth too.
Oh, without a doubt.
The two of them, they're just
without a
beautiful
doubt.
chemistry.
I love it. It's my favorite show on TV right now. So check that out too. But Disney Plus has ads coming in December, so you're gonna pay $10.99 for ad-free Disney Plus, which is going up from their $7.99
as we do our Disney episode.
Yes, as we do our Disney episode. The mouse has my money, and so $7.99 gets you ads, so that's going to be great. I'm sticking with the ads because, like, God bless. I don't know. I
have the ads on YouTube and I have the ads on Hulu. I think I might. I don't know. We'll see. Well, if you pay yearly, though, you save money, and that's what we do. We just pay in November. Right.
If you pay yearly, you save money. I need to I have Spotify and Hulu together, so maybe I need to wrap. I don't know. Aside from that, though, Greg Pak is going to be coming out with a 5-issue limited comic, Planet Hulk. That's coming out it's called Planet Hulk World Breaker with artist Manuel Garcia. That's going to be coming this fall. Sonic 3 will be coming out December 20th, 2024. If you've seen the latest Sonic, they teased Shadow, which I'm super stoked for as somebody who loves those movies and games. Those movies have no business being as good as they are, but by all means, check that out.
I still need to watch them.
Marvel has announced Murder World, which will be a 5-part comic series written by Jim Zub and Ray Fox. The series will focus on heroes facing off against Arcade. That will release in November. The art will be done by Jethro Morales. And then Lady Gaga is going to be paid $10 million for starring as Harley Quinn and Joker, which is like $10 million less than Joaquin Phoenix and all that stuff. So that's kind of that. And then American Horror Story Chapter 11 will be starting to film with Zach Quinto, Billy Lord, Isaac Powell, Patty Lupone, Sandra Bernhard, Joe Mantello, and Charlie Carver. I actually haven't caught up on the last few
I've never
American
seen
Horror
it.
Stories. It's a good series. I fell behind at a certain point, so I haven't caught up at all. So
isn't it something though that starts like you don't need to watch it consistently,
no,
like
it's
in a row?
It's very anthology, so you don't have to follow every. They kind of loosely intertwine, but it's not something like you have to watch. So, and then
so it's like Kevin Smith movies,
right? Yeah, it takes place all in the same universe, basically. Some quick comic news is more. DC has announced that the Justice Society of America will be a new ongoing comic which debuts in November. Jeff Johns is returning to the JSA to write the book, with Michael Janin doing the art. And then Warner Brothers Discovery is at it again. They have just cut 30 to 40 television series off of their platform in order to save money. A lot of it I haven't heard of, but Aquaman King of Atlantis is a goofy cartoon that's on there. So they're cutting costs. They don't want to pay people residuals, which is another big thing, and it's kind of shitty. So take that for what you will. And that's kind of all I have that's big and breaking right now.
I don't have too much. I might have mentioned this a few weeks ago. If not, Stranger Things Season 5 has begun to be worked on. Not filmed, just worked on. Fisher Price Little People has released a Ted Lasso set. Hulu ordered the Devil in the White City series starring Keanu Reeves. Kevin from The Office is getting his own chili cookbook. It will be out this September and will be called Seriously Good Chili Cookbook. A Wizard of Oz remake is in the works.
Okay, that's right. I forgot about the Wizard of Oz remake. What do you think about that? This is my mom's all-time favorite movie. And I was just telling Carrie a couple of weeks ago that I was surprised that they haven't remade this movie yet. And she was sitting there telling me, it's a classic. They would never remake this movie. They would never remake that. I'm like, watch, they're going to soon. And sure enough,
the ones with James Franco.
Those aren't remakes, though. Those are expansions on the story. This is a flat out. They're remaking it.
So I don't think it's a movie that needs to be remade. I agree. I think it's a classic. I think you show this one to your kids. I think despite the fact that this movie is cheese and rice, it's like 80 years old.
39.
I think so. It was right around the time Snow White came out. But I think the movie holds up. What I would love to see is Wicked. Make the Wicked movie. I mean, I don't know what the rights are to that or how that would work, but I think that would be a way better movie to make because honestly, it's a way better story.
Well, I've been trying to see it on Broadway forever. I haven't yet, but I'm very surprised that Wicked hasn't been made into a movie yet. And then it's like I predicted the future. I'm tooting my own horn. A movie that was made in 1939, it's finally getting remade as a more modernized version, but it's really not a movie that needs to get remade at all. Yeah, they did all those other things, but this is a remake, I guess.
It hasn't been a legit full-on remake. I mean, I'll end up watching it.
Big
but
same.
Is it something that I'm like, oh my gosh, yes? No. But then I thought about it and I'm like, shit, I haven't made my middle or youngest kid watch the original.
But I think that if it's done well and
so a 10th Saw movie is coming out in October 2023. That's a movie we definitely don't need.
I didn't realize there were 10 of those.
John Wick's prequel series will air on Peacock. And my last news is Rogue One is coming back to theaters on August 26th.
Not a theater near me, though, unfortunately.
Really?
Yeah. I also didn't realize that we are 10 Saw movies deep. That's crazy. I haven't watched
I think
the last,
I saw
seven.
I saw the one with like Donnie Wahlberg, and that was it.
I think that might have been the last one I saw, too.
I don't like those kinds of movies. I don't even know why I saw it. It was probably like somebody else wanted to watch it. I don't.
Well,
silly.
On a brighter note, let's talk about something that just murders and robs you in different ways. It just takes all of your money and your just will to live sometimes. Just kidding, Disney. Shout out to you. Let's talk about Disney, the most magical place on the planet for some people. For others, it's just they're grouchy. They don't want to be there. You get those people that just complain the whole time. Which Disney person are you? Let's find out now. So we are discussing the Disney parks with an emphasis on the geek-themed areas at the parks. So there's Galaxy's Edge and Avengers Campus, which, mind you, I am going to Avengers Campus either Monday, definitely Tuesday, because you can park hop. If you have a reservation for one park, you're able to park hop to the other because we have the park-to-park passes for 3 days.
Here, it has to be after 2.
So I don't know what the rules in California are, but
yeah, there's a lot of these rules are very different. Avengers
Campus, I am probably most excited for that next to building my lightsaber because there's like they have the Hank Pym bar. There's a Spider-Man adventure. The Guardians of the Galaxy ride is going to be pretty cool. And then the kids are going to lose their minds because they're so big into superheroes that that's their thing. And so I'm excited for that.
Yeah. And that's just over a year old. So I got to do the Guardians ride, but I haven't gotten to do any of the rest of that. So
that's true.
That's cool.
I'll dive into the Disneyland and then you can take over Disney World. So let's begin taking you on a trip far, far ago, a long time ago. Anyways, July 17th of 1955. That is when Disneyland opened up. Now, there is a basketball hoop inside the Matterhorn. It's not a full court, but rumors tell us that there's actually a basketball hoop inside of there, which is kind of cool. Maybe I'll sneak in and confirm. Probably not because I'll get arrested. But Disneyland Star Tours ride is in Tomorrowland, which is separate from Galaxy's Edge. I still haven't done Rise of the Resistance. I'm hoping to get on Rise of the Resistance because I didn't get to do that when I was down there in Florida. So, fun fact, Doritos were actually born at Disneyland. So Doritos, which is in Spanish named Little Pieces of Gold, were invented at a Mexican restaurant in Frontierland, then known as Casa de Fritos. I probably butchered all that, but
I think that was pretty good.
In the early 1960s, an Alex Foods salesman who supplied the non-Fritos food at the restaurant noticed that Casa de Fritos was tossing unused tortillas in the trash at the end of each day. He suggested that the cook cut the surplus tortillas into triangles, deep fry them, and then season them in a style of Zapotec Mexican snack called totopas. I always get the hardest things to pronounce on this show. I swear to God.
It's not pre-planned. It's not like it says Matt is going to read this.
I am convinced you do it on purpose. Anyways, the cook took the salesman's advice, fried up the first batch, and that is how we got Doritos. So Casa de Fritos offered them to customers free of charge as an alternative to the free bag of Fritos that came with every meal. Pirates of the Caribbean actually had real human remains on exhibit. They were on loan from UCLA, but only one human skull remains to this day, which is pretty creepy. Disney's California Adventure opened up February 8th, 2001. This park used to be the parking lot for Disneyland, and anybody from Orlando who hasn't been to the parks, they're actually literally next door to each other. Disneyland is much smaller than Disney World, and they're closer to each other than Universal Studios and Islands of Adventure. Yeah. Which, if you've been there, they're right next to each other too, which is crazy. So originally it was supposed to be called Westcott and be the West Coast version of Epcot. Instead, it more resembles high school. Hollywood Studios. Instead, more resembles.
I put a lot of acronyms in here. I feel like I use acronyms more for Disney than anything else. So good luck to you, sir.
Woof. Instead,
when I heard that, though, I honestly felt bad for Californians because Epcot is hands down my favorite park. And to think that they almost had their own Epcot, it's a travesty.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of weird that California only has 2 small parks. That is weird. Like they haven't expanded anything there.
They have expanded. Like you had just mentioned, California Adventure used to be a parking lot for it, and now they have, the only place you can find parking garages at Disney is downtown Disney, which is now called Disney Springs. So it's like we have all this land that's just parking garages, which is super annoying. And anytime I leave Universal, I'm like, why the hell doesn't Disney have parking garages? But they just don't have any more room to grow. Like Disney obviously wasn't expecting the the project to be as big as it was. And we can finish up with California Adventure, and then we can go into why Disney World is so much bigger.
Ooh, let's go. So Toy Story characters are actually hiding in Cars Land at the Cozy Cone. Inside the office, you can see Buzz, Ham, and Rex hiding inside the cones. Avengers Campus.
I'd known that when I went there. That's really cool.
I'm glad I know that because I'm going to find them now. Avengers Campus opened up just last year. And now Avengers Campus is actually an anagram for centralized assembly, mobilized to prepare, unite, and safeguard. That is a mouthful, so we'll just go ahead and say campus because it's way easier. And whoever made this acronym was clearly high on their own supply.
Somebody really wanted their initials to spell out campus.
Yes, they really did. So the backstory of this area is that the entire complex was actually owned by Howard Stark, who owned Stark Industries and also Tony's dad. Iron Man inherited it and then used it to build the Avengers Campus. So mystical sorcerers known as the Vishanti once built sanctums on sites of great power throughout the world. Long, long ago, one such site stood on the land that is now Avengers Campus. Mystical.
What?
That is crazy. Mission Breakout, which was Tower of Terror, is the Guardians of the Galaxy ride. There is a comic book for this. It is the
I actually have the comic book. I will post that, and it's called Mission Breakout.
Would you look at that? It is the Guardians of the Galaxy ride. I'm pretty excited for that one, too. I like Towers of Terror, so I'm excited to see how the Guardians spin gets put on it.
So I hate Tower of Terror. I did it like a week ago because my daughter wanted to. And I'm like, I'm literally on the ride and we're about to drop. And I'm like, I don't ever want to do this ride again. I hate that. I like roller coasters, but that initial drop feeling, I like brace myself for because I don't like it. And all Tower of Terror is that. And there's different tracks in Tower of Terror. So you never know if you're going to be on a fun, bouncy one or if you're going to be on one that is just straight up and down, straight up and down.
Right.
Now, Guardians is different because you have screens in between the dropping. So I'm guessing it's more consistent.
That is interesting.
I mean, yeah, you'll have to experience it on your own. But that I would do that regularly if it was here because it's more to watch. It's not just Tower of Terror in Orlando. You're just looking at black and then you go up and you see like the whole park.
Well, no, it's like a Twilight Zone ride. So you get a little bit of Twilight Zone, no?
But it's not, there's no real story. I mean, it's a cool ride, but I don't like that dropping feeling. I don't know. Yeah, I like Guardians of the Galaxy, though. Maybe because I'm not paying attention. Because in Tower of Terror, all you're thinking about is my stomach is about to drop. Whereas in the Guardians, you're actually following the story of what's going on.
That's true.
There's no story when you're just dropping on Tower of Terror.
So it's actually the tallest attraction at Disneyland. It's 77 feet. And that's
their castle's only 77 feet. Mission Breakout's way bigger.
Their castle's only 77 feet. That's depressing.
Yeah. Our castle is 189 feet. When we took our kids, like they were literally like, that's the castle?
Well, that's really tiny. Depressing. Wow. All right. Didn't know that. So
I guess Sleeping Beauty didn't have as much money as Cinderella.
I guess not. So times were tough. All right. Taxes in California are outrageous. Lucky Dog pizza boxes can actually be seen throughout the WEB workshop. And they have shawarma.
Gotta get shawarma.
Now, why don't you take us down the magical path of Disney World?
Okay. I think some of my bias is probably going to show. But Disneyland started it all.
I wouldn't expect anything less from you.
That was where Walt lived. That was where Walt walked. Unfortunately, Disney World actually opened after Walt passed. Okay, so Disneyland Resort.
Isn't that crazy that Disneyland started it all and they disrespect Disneyland and built up Disney World? Like, I wonder what the thought process was. It because Florida had more land to build on?
100%. Yeah. They just didn't have the land.
Oh,
I mean, think about it. When you're there, it's like you can see the back of the Guardians of the Galaxy ride when you're still in the car and you're not even on property. It's like, I mean, you can barely even see the tall structures, from the highway when you're right next to it.
Interesting.
But like they've done a lot. Like they have certain strategically placed plants and whatnot, but you can also see from like one land to another in Disneyland, which you can't really do that in Disney World. But so Disneyland Resort is 500 acres. So that means 51 Disneylands can fit into Disney World.
Wow.
The Disneyland Resort has 3 hotels, 2 parks, and a downtown Disney. Walt Disney World Resort has 32 hotels, 4 parks, 2 water parks, 2 mini golf courses, a downtown Disney area recently renamed Disney Springs, a boardwalk area, a full-on golf course, and the Wide World of Sports ESPN area, and a lot of untouched land as well. We have camping sites and everything.
Sports.
I say we like I fucking own Disney World, but
you do. You might. I mean, they own you because
they own me. That is a more accurate.
They've got a lot of money out of you.
I do not work there. I do not speak on their behalf. I represent them not at all, but I'm going to talk like I own them. So Walt learned a lot from Disneyland. For one, he bought way more land this time. And like, I'm sure any person who took a business class, when they teach you about like strawmen, like he bought a lot of this land through other people, because if word had gotten out like, oh, Walt Disney's buying this when Disneyland was, doing well, right, obviously they all would have, jacked up their prices. So Magic Kingdom opened October 1st, 1971. And one of the things Disney also learned was he added tunnels to Florida. So Magic Kingdom's actually on like the second floor because, we can't have basements. And the tunnels underneath are for the characters and cast members to move around. And he did this because he saw a cowboy walking through Tomorrowland at Disneyland, and he felt like it ruined the illusion, which is kind of funny now.
Runaway
because
children.
If you see a cowboy with an astronaut, that's just Woody and Buzz.
That's true.
They are seen together. The tree in Liberty Square is 140 plus years old, and it was originally grown on Walt's personal Florida property. Now, another fun fact about that area in Liberty Square is the brown, weird-looking path in the middle is a shit road. And what it is it's supposed to represent the trail of sewage that would have flowed through the streets of colonial America during this time. There are also no bathrooms to be found in this area because there were no bathrooms back in the day. However, if you really have to go, it's not that big of a land. There are places in the restaurants that are in Liberty Square do have restrooms. The flags are all inaccurate throughout Disney, and this is probably true for Disneyland too, because if you have the correct amount of stripes and stars, you then have to follow all of the rules for how to properly treat an American flag. And they have the one at the front of Magic Kingdom, and often you'll see like a guest, it's usually like a vet or something, and they'll do the salute and they'll properly fold up the flag. So they do have that one at the beginning of Magic Kingdom, which they probably have for Disneyland too. And the best park of all, Epcot. Experimental Prototype Community of Tomorrow, sometimes referred to as City of Tomorrow. That opened October 1st, 1982. This was supposed to be a place that people could live. And when that didn't happen, they turned it into a theme park. What Walt had envisioned, though, was people living with like markets and restaurants from all over the world, like different kinds of restaurants and markets and whatnot. And that's why we have the World Showcase. So now you can drink around the world at all of these countries. Every country is actually sponsored by the actual country. And we were supposed to get a Denmark. And then Denmark said, oh, just kidding. We're going to do Legoland.
That is a weird choice. Wonder why they would do Legoland instead.
Because then they have a whole theme park to themselves. Because they were going to have a Lego ride in that pavilion and they didn't. There's quite a few things that like, oh, this was supposed to happen and it didn't. Like Germany was supposed to have like a water ride, and now apparently they practice back there because they have that huge building where Beer Garden is, and there's nothing else in that huge building, but I've heard it's a rehearsal area for cast members. The Seas, this is where the Seas is now. It's Nemo with the Seas, is a huge aquarium. It has 5.7 million gallons of water. And the best part, well, I don't know if this is the best part, but one of the best parts now of Epcot is the Guardians of the Galaxy ride, Cosmic Rewind. It is the longest fully enclosed coaster in any Disney theme park and one of the longest enclosed coasters in the world. The attraction covers more than 200,000 square feet, and its building stretches longer than a football field. In the line, Terry Crews makes a cameo. He is a Xandarian.
Oh, yeah.
And the Celestial Eson makes a cameo as well. And there are 6 different song options, so you never know what you're going to get. But it's the same song the whole time you're on it. So it doesn't change. Like, I guess it's coming from the actual car that you're in.
Right.
But it's such a fun ride. It's so amazing. I was like, yeah, it was amazing. Right. Do you want to do Hollywood Studios?
Oh.
Or high school?
We're going back to high school? You want to go back to high school? I want to go back to high school.
Hollywood Studios, formerly MGM.
Yes. So Hollywood Studios opened up May 1st, 1989. It's older than I am. Would you look at that? Some say MGM didn't want to renew their
contract.
What in the hell? So some say MGM didn't want to renew their contract. Some say that MGM didn't hold as much star power as Disney. Some say that parents can't see why kids love the taste of Cinnamon Toast Crunch. But in 2008, MGM became Hollywood Studios, and the reason told to the public was the new name reflects how the park has grown from representing the golden age of movies to a celebration of the new entertainment that today's Hollywood has to offer in music, television, movies, and theater, said Meg Crofton, president of Walt Disney World Resort. Hollywood Studios was originally going to be part of the future world at Epcot, and then Universal decided to open, so that this park had to open up directly to compete. They have a place called Brown Derby, which is Disney's overpriced restaurant, and Universal's is a store. Brown Derby was actually
funny because they both have it, and it looks like the same.
Right. And so they both have it. One's just a restaurant, one's just a store. So it is what it is.
Because they're both representing old school Hollywood that apparently never was, but is always remembered as.
Right. Did you know that Tower of Terror was struck by lightning?
I did know that.
Well, for those of you who didn't, Tower of Terror was struck by lightning. The story behind the ride in the movie you watch before you board is that the elevator was struck by lightning and caused the inhabitants of the elevator to disappear into another dimension. When the attraction was being built, it was actually struck by lightning. So before opening, lightning rods were added to the top. If you look up in Florida Disney parks, there are actually lightning rods everywhere because lightning strikes everywhere in Florida. It rains all the time, which is pretty cool. And then Mickey's actually even holding one when you walk into Hollywood Studios, which funny enough, I didn't know that's what those were.
Oh yeah. The little rods on top of everything.
Yeah. I had no idea.
Yeah. They're crazy. All over everywhere. That's what, like if we've been there when it was lightning, I've told my kids, I'm like, it's probably the safest place in the world to be if it's lightning. But it's a tiny Mickey on top of a globe that's just really tall as soon as you walk into Hollywood Studios. And if you look up, it almost looks like he's holding a wand. Huh. And it's a lightning rod. But quick back to the Brown Derby. So Brown Derby was a chain of restaurants in LA. So that was what they were both copying. It's just funny that they both did it.
Well, that's pretty cool. So Star Tours actually has 54 different possible combinations on it.
So don't sleep on that ride.
Don't. Yes. So we actually have more on Hollywood Studios in regards to Galaxy's Edge, but we're going to do that last because they're actually the same for Disneyland too. So why don't you go ahead and take us into Animal Kingdom?
So Animal Kingdom opened on Earth Day, April 22nd, 1998. This is the biggest park by far. Magic Kingdom can actually fit inside of their Kilimanjaro safari ride. 2 Micronesian kingfisher chicks were actually hatched at Disney's Animal Kingdom, raising the world population of these birds to 3%. And if anybody hasn't been Animal Kingdom, they do have rides. They have good rides, but they also have a lot of shows and they have a lot of animals. But it's not like a typical zoo. The animals almost look, a lot of them, like they're more in their natural habitat rather than, like it doesn't make you sad. Like if I go to a zoo, it makes me a little sad. So Animal Kingdom has a vet lab, and they once removed a golf ball from a snake that was found on the Disney golf course. They have also done surgery on a tarantula. I don't even understand how that is possible, but all right. So the Tree of Life, which is the huge tree that is like their symbol of Animal Kingdom, is actually an oil rig with 325 different animals carved into it. And I feel like every time I'm looking at that tree, we find more animals. And there's paths all around that tree where you can find even more. And like one of my favorite things to do at Animal Kingdom is get a beer, find somewhere to sit by the water, and look at the animals on the tree. And sometimes at night they'll do like projection shows where they'll randomly make one of the animals look alive. Like all of a sudden the hippo's yawning and then it like goes back into the tree, which is pretty cool. They were originally going to have a whole area called Beastly Kingdom, and then they decided not to. But what's funny is if you look on any of their signage, like even in their parking lot, you see dragons. They never took them out. It's like Disney couldn't afford to buy new signs. So there are literally still dragons. Now cheap. People joke like, yeah. But people are like, oh, well, now you can pretend it's a banshee because they have the whole Avatar land area now. So zebras. So the Kilimanjaro safari ride is basically like you're going on a safari in Africa. And they introduced zebras and they were very quickly removed a few months later. Disney never released an official statement, but people believe it is because the zebras were too aggressive and they were constantly biting each other, blocking paths, and even attacking ride vehicles.
I did do that
8
ride
endangered
when I went the
white
safari
rhinos.
ride. That was cool.
Yeah, the safari ride's very cool. 8 endangered white rhinos have been born at Animal Kingdom, and there are only about 11,000 left in the entire world. So if you haven't made it to the Field Museum in Chicago to check out Sue, the world's most complete T-Rex skeleton, you can actually see a replica of her in the Dinoland area in front of the dinosaur ride. It's 13 feet tall, 40 feet long, and it's, like I said, it's an exact replica. But what I want to know is, why don't they sell the Pseudo Sue beer at Animal Kingdom?
That is a good point.
They have Sue there. They sell it at Islands of Adventure in the Jurassic Park area,
weird.
and they don't have it at Animal Kingdom. Like, what the hell? Get it together.
Interesting.
You cannot find plastic straws, cup lids, or balloons there because they don't want any of that stuff getting into the things with the animals. And one thing I have heard, I don't know if this is true, but like the Animal Kingdom bathrooms are decently sized and have heavy doors. And I've heard that's in case an animal escapes, people can go in there.
So
I don't know if that's true or not, so take that with a grain of salt.
Imagine a lion just been like, dude, I just need to piss. Can I come in? No!
I don't know. So if you ever hear there's an animal loose in Animal Kingdom, apparently the bathrooms are a good place to hide. So before we get to Galaxy's Edge, there are 2 water parks. I did not do fun facts on them. And of course, they both have their own theme too. Typhoon Lagoon, it's pretty, there's a typhoon and like the boat's stuck on the thing.
Right.
But Blizzard Beach is really cool because it looks like it's snowing everywhere, and they actually play Christmas music all year. But what's funny though is the water at Blizzard Beach is warmer than the water at Typhoon Lagoon because people kept complaining that the water was too cold at Blizzard Beach just because it looked like snow. People were thinking it was colder. So there you go. Now we can go into some Galaxy's Edge.
For our Star Wars fans out there, Galaxy's Edge, it actually exists in Star Wars canon as a trading outpost known as Black Spire on Batuu, which they are actually building Batuu in Disneyland right now. They just started construction. I don't know if they're doing that in Disney World too, or maybe it's just Disneyland, but
wait, what? They have Batuu. That is Batuu. The whole area is Batuu.
Well, they're building the bounty hunter thing. There's some bounty hunter thing that they're building.
I did hear you guys have Fennec Shand, and I think Boba Fett are walking around Disneyland. They're not walking around Disney World.
Darth Vader has recently been making an appearance as well at one of the 2.
Yeah, you usually can't see him in Batuu, though, because I'll jump ahead real quick. So the characters, Batuu is post the last movie. So you're only going to see people that are still presently alive. But Florida, you can see Darth Vader in other areas.
Kylo Ren's dead, and he's seen out there.
Oh, that's true. You're right. So it's only people that are still alive in the last trilogy.
It's only people that Disney wants to showcase, because that's a bunch of little. That's
so then it's got to be, because the one Rise of the Resistance has Kylo Ren in it too.
Whichever and Disney created, they're going to be out there. Darth Vader, never heard of him. Kylo Ren,
so
that's my guy.
It takes place during the new trilogy.
All right. Well, either way.
Like you don't see Leia or anybody like that.
Batuu is not a destination found in the Star Wars movies, shows, or books, but it was specifically created for Disney. However, Batuu has since been featured in some print stories set between episodes 8 and 9, The Rise of Skywalker. We don't talk about those movies. So what else happens?
So both Galaxy Edges have Smuggler's Run and Rise of the Resistance, as well as a cantina, a droid factory, and a lightsaber building area. Galaxy's Edge at Disneyland is actually in Disneyland, whereas Galaxy's Edge Disney World, we mentioned, is in Hollywood Studios. So both have cantinas, which do sell alcohol. However, Hollywood Studios also has the milk stand where you can get the blue and yellow, sometimes looks green milk with alcohol options. So I'm hoping you can get into the cantina and do some research for us, because last time I was in the cantina, I got a beer to go as well. You can't go into the cantina unless you have a reservation.
So you can't just go in there. We got into the cantina.
Well, yes, if you want to wait, you can do that, but you can't just go in there to buy a beer and leave. Like you can't do that.
Yeah.
But if you have a reservation and you're in there, you can get a beer and they'll give it to you in a plastic cup if you need to go. So I'm wondering, because you can't buy alcohol in Disneyland unless you're at a sit down, can you get a beer to go? So I need you to test that.
I'll try to find out. I couldn't get resis into the cantina, but I'm going to try to get in there. I'll figure it out. But yeah, we waited around when I was out there and we got to go in, which is a really cool experience. And so the canteen is dope. It's a nice little, I wouldn't go there to eat food. It's just a fun little bar.
Yeah, and you only have the one here. You only have a 45-minute limit, and if you really want to get partying at 8:30 in the morning, Cantina is fucking slammed at 8:30 in the morning.
That was the only reservation open that I almost took, and I was like, I can't do that. I got breakfast with Mickey.
It's a great way to start the day.
Breakfast with Mickey and the kids and stuff.
Oh, I should post a picture of the Bloody Mary I got. So the morning I did the lightsaber, I got a reservation for 8:30. I managed to move it to 9, but I got a Bloody Mary, and it's called a Rancor Bloody Mary, and it has a Rancor bone in it. But the Rancor bone was broken in half, so it looked a little bit phallic.
Interesting.
And because my cousin and I were tipsy off our one Bloody Mary and beer that we chugged in 45 minutes. Kids. Well, it was a stiff drink.
I bet it was.
Yes, many a pun were made.
All right.
So we were having fun with that. Yeah, it's very fun, very overpriced drinks and some snacks. It's no food. All right, let's get through this because we do have a couple letters to the editor.
We do. So
if you look at the map, the two do look almost identical. The boxes above the docking bay, if you look above the docking bay, which is a quick service restaurant, you see 77, 80, 83. Those are the years for the original movies.
Oh, what? No way. That's crazy. What?
83 is the year the Miami Hurricanes won a national championship. I thought it was weird they put that up there.
That's crazy.
Just outside the Build Your Droid store, you can see R2-D2's imprints on the ground. Hondo from Clone Wars and Rebel is in Smuggler's Run Ride. In Florida, I know we've said this before, the X-Wing that can be found near the merchandise stands by Rise of the Resistance made a cameo in The Mandalorian before being sent to Florida. And if you're heading to Disney World and you have any questions, hit us up. And if you're heading to Disneyland and you have any questions in a week or two, hit Matt up.
Yeah, can't wait to go. So what do we got for letters of the editor this week?
So I have one late one that I got, I think it came in right as we were recording our Game of Thrones episode. So the nerdy photographer, he said, and he photographs weddings a lot, and he said to avoid weddings at all costs. And of course, that was for the Game of Thrones episode. So that's solid advice in that world. Some Disney ones. We got a few Disney ones from Kevin, who's Hops and Heroes. He wants to know what is the best ride at any Disney park and why is it Flight of Passage?
I don't really have an opinion on this yet.
What's the best ride you've done?
Oh, God. At Disney World or Land?
He said any Disney park.
Okay, so I would guess the Star Wars ride for me is fun. I don't really do roller coasters. That's my problem.
So the Smuggler's Run has been the best one.
You know what was a fun ride? The Mickey's Runaway Train was a fun ride.
Oh, God, I hate that ride.
I know you do, but it was fun. I enjoyed it. The kids had a good time on it. I don't do roller coasters, so I would have to say that. So, but can I just say at Universal, my favorite ride is the Harry Potter one where you're flying on a broomstick. That's my favorite ride. God,
that one makes you nauseous.
I love that one.
So that's the one in the castle. The Hogwarts Castle one. Yeah. So we were on that one and that one's 3D. And as we're getting on, I see a friend from high school that works there. And as soon as we're getting off, I'm already nauseous. And she's like, do you want to go again? And my kid at the time was like, yeah. I was like, oh God, I felt like crap when I got off of that. Okay. So Flight of Passage is the ride at Animal Kingdom that it's like you're riding a Banshee, and it is absolutely amazing. It's funny if you look over, it's kind of like being on the old school Back to the Future ride where you can see other people in their fake Banshees. But it's amazing. They really do make it feel like you're flying on a Banshee. But Kevin, I'm going to go. I want to say it's a tie between Cosmic Rewind and Rise of the Resistance. I know that sounds bad because they're the two newest rides. I'm doing it.
Well, that's fair. That's fine. I don't know. I'll let you know after I do the Guardians ride and stuff like that when I go to Disneyland.
You need to make Rise a priority because...
Yeah, that's the one I want to go to because I couldn't go last year.
Yeah. It's so immersive and so it's not just a ride. Okay. His next question, best beer you've ever had at a Disney park?
Oh, I have no idea. God damn it. I don't know. I've had the generic beers. I guess the Japanese one. I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know because when I drink, I honestly, I can't answer. This is all like you. Yes, this is all for you because I honestly don't know. I haven't gotten to have any of the fancy beers at the Disney parks.
I know he goes somewhat regularly.
Yeah.
I would say my favorite was probably Ghost in the Machine. Double IPA. It was a hazy, but it was only available during Flower and Garden the last couple of years. I would say that's my best one.
That's fair. Okay.
Why does it always feel 10 to 15 degrees warmer in Animal Kingdom versus every other park?
It's the trees, man. It's the trees.
Yes. It blocks the wind.
Exactly.
100%.
It's those trees. That's exactly what it does. The way those trees are built different. All right. It's like a jungle. So it's keeping you cooler in the shade.
Yeah. But like you would think like, oh, it's more shaded than the rest of the park. But oh my gosh, it just blocks every inch of any kind of breeze whatsoever. Describe your thoughts on how the Genie Plus system has ruined Walt Disney World. I hate Genie Plus. I wish it would go away forever. Fuck you, president of Walt Disney World, for implementing it.
Well, that's basically like you buy it that day and you can buy fast passes and stuff. That's crazy.
So I haven't used it, so I can only speak like from what I've heard from other people or what I've read. So and it might be a little bit different at Disneyland. So you buy it that morning, which
it's the same at Disneyland
is like
because I've looked into it.
$15 per person. So right away, if you're one person, it's not a big deal. But if you're a family of 4 or 5 or more, that adds up quick. Now, you don't pay for all of the fast passes. You only pay for the ones that are in high demand, like Rise of the Resistance. So there's going to be basically an upcharge for those. But again, you have to pay per person. And make sure you have your magic bands too, because all that info or your card will be on that. So like, don't go up there thinking like they know you're coming. Like they're going to want you to scan. I've seen many people come up for like Cosmic Rewind or something for a new ride and not have their tickets and have to go back and find them or something.
Huh.
But I hate it. You used to get 3 free fast passes. If you were an annual pass holder, you had 30 days in advance. If you were staying at a hotel, you had 60 days. And we don't do rides nearly as much as we used to because of it.
Oh, that's cool.
So, but Star Tours you can always get on Star Tours at 5 to 10 minutes. And if it's any longer, just come back. And that's a great ride. A lot of people sleep on it. It's a fun ride and there's never a line.
Well, there you go. Well, folks, we appreciate you coming along for this ride. Next week is our Lord of the Rings episode with Chris from the Geek Peak, where we are diving into Lord of the Rings to prepare you for Rings of Power. To say, I can't spoil anything. It's probably the greatest trilogy of films that still hold up to today. And I'm going to leave it at that. Thanks for coming along with us. Stay tuned as I'm going to be at Disneyland and hopefully have a lot of great fun things coming your way. Go ahead, follow us on social media, anywhere you can find Hops Geek News. Go follow Lauren's personal TikToks and Twitters. Just search, what is it, Lauren?
The Hoppy Mommy.
The Hoppy Mommy. And then I am Matthew Tyler on Twitter and on TikTok. I am Ant-Man, the number 4, Life, and the number 3, where I'm just talking about movies. And that's where we are now. So thanks for hanging out with us. Subscribe, all that good stuff. Leave a review, and we will see you next time. Cheers.